Jimmy the Goat had a grip on the throat of the defendants seated in court. Metaphorically speaking, the man had been leaking rumors of the weakness of tort that Jimmy's been selling as though the telling would add to the tale when told, of a man who'd been duped by a tin can of soup and drained of his pouch filled with gold. It's a sad tale, Jimmy did wail, how my upstanding client got scammed. It began with a quail with a lace-covered tail who promised an evening of cramming. But as the moment of bliss arrived with a miss, so did a man who proclaimed he was the spouse and said, "Who is this louse with whom his wife is inflamed?" In a fake rage pulled from the page of a con man's handbook of the tricks, he used the wile of the whores to con a man in his drawers. Then the bogus prick of a husband so claimed stated he'd been defamed by his act of his alleged wife, and he opened his hand to reveal a tin can, which he said would end all their strife. This dynamite can I hold in my hand will resolve this violation of marriage, and once it is lit, it will blow us to bits and take all of us off in a carriage to the orchard of marble, where a preacher will garble our names and events which transpired in the upstairs room of the Bonfire Saloon and the boom in which we expired. The man who was duped had no choice to stoop to withdraw all the gold from his purse, to pay off the madman with a fuse on a can and flee from the room with a curse, with his suspenders flying behind him, trying to outrun the threat of a hearse. Now the truth of the matter, Jimmy said with a swagger, pointing to the man in a chair, that after the scam, you, my good man, laughed about how you had scared the man in the room of the Bonfire Saloon with a soup can you let him assume was a dynamite stick with a fuse of a stick, which could kill all three with a boom. But the fact of the matter, Jimmy said in a lather, you knew the soup can was a fraud, for you had been drinking and downstairs slinking and had no gun to frighten the clod. You threatened the fool with a fraudulent tool, a soup can devoid of its label, and stormed into the room and acted buffoon and struck a match on the table. And isn't it true, post-ballyhoo, as the fool escaped down the street, at the scene of the crime, to your partner begrimed, you tossed the soup can at her feet, then said with a grin, "Here's a package of 10 you can use to make your own stash. Take it and see if you can, like me, use it to con a wallet of cash." Jimmy the Goat is from Steve Levi's book, Bonfire Saloon. Bonfire Saloon is available at Author Masterminds, on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and wherever good books are sold. Bonfire Saloon is a Readers and Writers Book Club selection.